Hey everybody, and welcome to the April Dev Update. My name is Katie, and I'll be running us through our new season and all the exciting stuff we have to bring you. Here with me today, I have JR, Dan, Tracy, Joel, and Chad. And today we're going to be talking about mainly Season of the Divide. So let's kick things off. We're kicking the season off actually with Coral Divide.
That's right.
Which players just finished playing in live and helping us test out.
Yeah, it's almost like we named the season after the map.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I love that.
So players have been playing Coral Divide. That we did a preview in February, and then we just finished up the preview in April. Starting in season 8, the map's going to be fully out, fully released, and the plan is to run that map for a period of time before we start like a rotation with the old map.
Yeah.
Definitely look forward to that. Look forward to having full access to the map come season 8.
Yeah, that's great info. I know that players are looking forward to having that new OPR map being playable every day. So that's great. We also have at the start of the season one of our seasonal events, Springtide Bloom, and we have the return of other seasonal events. Joel, if you want to.
Yeah, so Springtide Bloom is going to have upgraded patterns with higher gear score. Springin is also going to have upgraded loot, so it's going to be much more meaningful. There will be above gear score 700 loot for players to get to kind of feel like they can catch up and participate in some of our pinnacle in-game content in those. So we look forward to bringing that back out for some of the players. I don't believe console players have actually experienced Springtide either.
Yeah, this is the return of those events for PC players and the first time that our console players will be experiencing these events. So It's super exciting. And then along those same lines where we have these in-game world events, we have something new with this next season, which we're calling Expeditions Unleashed. Chad.
Yeah, so Expeditions Unleashed is a selection of expedition bosses that we've taken, leveled them up, scaled them up, and basically injected them into the open world. So lots of players can show up together, 10, 20, 30, however many more, and fight them in huge numbers. We've adjusted their abilities to make them more appropriate for the open world and for fighting lots of players. It should be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And then there's rewards associated with this, I'm assuming. So.
Of course.
Yep. So there is a 725 up-leveled item, one for each boss that you'll be able to get each time they show up. And then there's 710 items across the board of all of their existing loot that will also be leveled up. So that'll be some fun stuff that you can kind of get that's kind of from the past brought up to current standards.
That's awesome. Cool. And I know that, this is something where players have been wanting this for a while. This is one of those things that they've talked about where they're like, we want to do things in the open world with our friends. We've seen some of these events that you have. We want more of that, but we want it to be, different, and we want this to be an exciting thing for us to do, like kind of on a daily grind. And so this is definitely something that I think fulfills that and gives them a rotation of different bosses that they've seen in our expeditions, but these are not bosses that you've seen in the open world before. So that's pretty cool. And then is this something, Tracy, that is happening all season? Is this something that is just for a limited time? Like what can players expect?
These bosses are going to appear in the world for a week every month, and it'll be a different boss each time all season. So look forward to it.
Cool. And this is just the season 8 thing?
No, this will be for all seasons going forward.
Oh, so that's part of the divide is now we're having things divided from just being seasonal and now can be continued forever. I love that. And another interesting new event that we have coming to Aeternum is Factionfest. Tracy, that's something that you've been working on. Want to tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a new event coming for the community. It's a fun little competition for players in each faction. We wanted to motivate them to check out expeditions, so we have a new set of rewards for this event specific to expeditions. We'll give you guys more details later.
Love new rewards. And it's a new season, and we haven't talked about the seasonal server. Some of that is because we're doing things a little bit different. So we talked about how Coral Divide and the events are going to kind of kick things off. With the Season of the Divide, we want to give the Coral Divide OPR map its time to shine in the sun. And the seasonal server will actually start later in the season. But we do want to talk about it. So Joel, what's going on with that?
Absolutely. So seasonal servers are very much always going to be an experimental place for us to kind of try new ideas, flip New World on its head in certain ways. This one is our twist on what a typical hardcore mode would be for other MMOs. It's heavy focused on challenging the player's knowledge, putting them in the situation where we don't want them to die. The best rewards on this server that you'll be able to get will be things like beating the Gorgon raid, beating the Sandworm, beating mutated dungeons without dying. However, in this one, dying doesn't necessarily mean your character's gone. What it means is that for those other players that maybe have never even experienced this content before, we're going to give those characters a massive buff. They're going to get a bunch of attributes every time they die, up to, I think, like 125 across all stats. So you're going to be able to build your character in different ways. You're going to be able to hit different breakpoints on the attribute bar. You're also going to be able to equip artifacts across the board in every slot. So 2 weapons, 5 armor pieces, 3 jewelry pieces. And then on top of that, and that's everybody, death or not. So the people that are unfallen, that have never died, will be able to try the raid that way. And then on top of that, there's a couple things, like obviously, I know there's some fatigue with MSQ. We don't necessarily want people to go through that, so we've made more of a quest line that's a tutorial for the server. The goal being is that this server is more of like a weekend event. You and your friend should be able to take about 2 or 3 sessions and get to the end game in that time frame. Something 4 or 6 hours, somewhere in there, depending on your knowledge. Faster if you're really good and you know how to min-max to get to that in-game content. There's a lot of crafting. You can build your own in-game gear, but we let you craft specific gear throughout. We give you a lot of the content that you need, access to Elysian Wilds, the Azoth staff, all of those things we start to give you through this quest chain as a tutorialization. And it's more about testing your knowledge at that point. And then the other side is rewards and making sure that players take something out. We're going to be giving a crafting material that allows players on their prime characters, their main world servers, to craft an artifact from season 7 and before of their choice. You want Serenity, you don't want to do PvP, here's your way to get it. So there's some really good stuff you'll be able to pull out, not just cosmetics, but actually things that you might seek, such as tier 3 trophies as well, to your prime characters. And we'll have more information on that soon.
Yeah, and you called out something like, not only are we starting that seasonal server a little bit later in the season, we're also running it for a limited time. Because it is something where players will be able to go through the quest line, go through all of the different activities pretty quickly. You can take your time with it if you want, so we're not telling you you have to do it in a weekend, but it's not going to take too much time, right?
It's very much an event. It's very much a vacation. It's a place for you to dip your toes in and try something different, or potentially get someone else that's unfamiliar with the game in there with you and try it out.
Yeah, and that hits on one of, I think, the concerns that some people had from the last seasonal server, which was the bifurcation of the players, right? So people were joining the seasonal server in this last season and staying on it for quite some time.
Yes.
I mean, some people made that their main for the time being. And this gets them their time playing on the seasonal server and having a lot of fun, trying to stay unfallen.
It's very much scheduled like the rest of the events, like the PTR maps, or excuse me, not the PTR maps, the preview maps. It's very much to fit in as a grouping of content instead of something that is on top of those things.
Should also mention for the bifurcation, right, that this particular seasonal server, you won't be able to join cross-world matchmaking, right?
Yep. We do not want players with 125 attributes across the board and artifacts smashing other OPR players. That is absolutely correct. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is probably something where we would expect players to spend some time on this server and go back, play their main to do their dailies, and then come back over to the seasonal server to finish up.
But also feel like you're making rewards and cosmetics for your prime characters and feeling like your time is valued and that it persists long term. And we will continue to look at those things for seasonal servers.
Do you keep your character from the seasonal server
this time? No, you do not keep the character this time, especially now with all that power and artifacts. No. But the rewards you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. So next up, and we kind of hit on this a little bit where we were talking about preview weekends, we have more preview weekends.
That's true.
A lot more.
We have a lot coming up. Yeah. And this is a great time to announce that the next, drum roll, please. Thank you. So yeah, I'm pleased to announce our next game mode is Capture the Flag. And
yes.
we will be previewing this in not one but two previews.
What?
With two different maps. Yes.
Two maps.
Two maps. Yeah. Can you believe it? Yeah, we've been working hard on this, and we were having so much fun with like one map. We were like, so we actually, this is similar to how we did the last OPR map for Coral Divide. We started with a lot of gray box maps, right, and like kind of narrowed it down. And then we got two maps that we were feeling good about, and we're just like, let's just see if we can do both, and we did.
And I feel like internally we're all split because we all have a favorite. And there's nobody that's like, yeah, like I love both of them the same. There's always one that you're like, I kind of prefer this one because those two maps have very different like strategies associated with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the first one is it's a pretty simple map. It's like this 2-tier bridge, very straightforward. We feel like this is the best map to like introduce the game mode and get people used to it. So our version of CTF, it's two flags and the two teams. Obviously, you take the flag, you have to return it, you have to defend your flag at the same time to score. And so there's so it's part defense, part attack, and there's definitely coordination. It's a 10v10 mode, I should mention, which is our first game mode of that size. So that should create a different dynamic in itself. We also added two new gameplay mechanics to this mode. We have jump pads,
my favorite,
which are super cool. Our flavor of jump pad is a little different than maybe what you've seen in some other games, because they actually let you control, which we felt like gives you more strategy. It also gives you more like agency in like when you use them, like because you can run over them without activating them, which is useful in our game since you're constantly repositioning for combat. Sometimes we actually did test a version where they were automatic and it didn't go so well. Like they were just automatically triggering, you'd like back into them. So yeah, we decided we liked the manual trigger better, and that's what we went with. Yeah, to go back to the other mechanic is power-ups. So we also we have like a health, a haste, and an attack power-up. And they respawn on a timer and just add a little more tactics to the map and like, strategy. And yeah, so the second map it's a much wider map. We actually call it wide. That was like the code name for it. But yeah, it's
creative.
We're super creative with our naming. Yeah, so like it has like this straight shot to the other flag, but it's like kind of out in the open. You're like it's super risky to just like run the flag back that way. But there's a lot more going on the sides of the map, so the intention is that there's more routes to kind of use to like weave in and out of the different like obstacles.
It feels a bit
things.
more like Coral Divide with choke points. And
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's going to be interesting when we see the outcome of how players use it on those weekends. But we have even more than just capture the flag, right?
We do, yeah. So we also have another arena map. So the last arena map we added was in season 2, the Brimstone Sands arena. And the third one is set in this kind of like ancient temple, like it's like an overgrown temple. What's interesting about this map is it's our largest arena that we've done thus far, but we did something a little different this time where the death fog ring closes in much sooner, and just like slower, like it still ends at the same time as a regular arena, but because it starts sooner, the arena starts to close in and the tactics change, right? Like so at the beginning, the ranged has more of an advantage, right? Because they have more mobility, they can stay at range. But like, yeah, as the match progresses, that quickly goes away, and then melee becomes the winning tactic.
Yeah, super interesting. And then the last one.
Last but not least, take it away, Jeremy.
I'm going to say this one too. Okay, yes, it's my show. Yeah, so we also have another version of Outpost Rush that is kind of an experiment we're running. This is called Outpost Rush Barebones. And the premise here is that in this version of Outpost Rush, you will have all of your the perks on your gear will be deactivated. Okay, so the idea here is that it's a completely level playing field. Players who maybe have bounced off of PvP because they thought their gear wasn't good enough, they can hop into this mode and compete just like everyone else, just like people who have thousands of hours in the game, right? Meanwhile, maybe people who have thousands of hours in the game and have like super good gear, and maybe people are saying, oh yeah, your gear's good, that's why you're so good, right? It has nothing to do with your skill. They can jump in here and kind of prove like, no, say like, I'm not good. Like, it's not just my gear.
So all of this is to give folks the opportunity to play Outpost Rush who have been concerned that their gear is a limiting factor. And then the other side of that coin is that you can prove that your gear is not the only reason why you're so good at Outpost Rush.
Yeah, and we're actually going to run, with that preview, we're going to run it in parallel with regular Outpost Rush because we kind of want to see what people think, and see if this is resonating with people. So that's why I said it's kind of an experiment.
Yeah. Well, and along with that, to make this change possible, there's been some work done on the activity screen so that we can more easily do mode variants like this, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like, so definitely a big concern on the modes team is that as we add more modes, more maps, we'll actually we talked about bifurcating the audience. That's definitely a concern with modes, right? So we're trying to control that by, for one thing, doing these previews, like we wouldn't have everything active at the same time, right? Like so CTF would occupy the same slot as Barebones mode. So we would basically be rotating modes in and out. And over time, what we might find is as we introduce new modes, if a new mode really takes off, it's super popular like CTF, that might actually get like a permanent slot, and then maybe a less popular mode might move to the rotation. But we're going to be kind of like measuring the queue lengths and just like the engagement for the different modes to kind of make those decisions.
Absolutely. The engagement, we have in-game metrics, and then as players, we'll have more information on all of this and specific dates and the timelines as we get closer to them. But as with everything, please join the Discord. There will be specific channels set up specifically for feedback on these different preview weekends. And so we love to hear from you. Get your feedback on each different preview that we have. And then obviously in-game, you can always do the submit feedback feature. We do get that as well. Just make sure to call out whichever map it is that you did that you want to give us the feedback on. So we really appreciate that. And we're going to be looking very closely at what players are doing and what they're saying. So that's enough of you talking, JR.
Okay, I'm done.
enough of that. So let's totally switch gears here and talk about something that is another thing that players have been talking about for quite some time, and that's Barbershop.
Yeah, that's me. So we are going to allow you to purchase a Barbershop token in the in-game store with Marks of Fortune, and you will be able to customize your character. There's characters on PC that have been around a long time that don't necessarily get the chance to use some of the new customization we added in Aeternum. This is a great time to update your characters, change your look. Maybe you really wanted that new hairstyle. Now's your chance. And that will be available in Season 8, right at the beginning.
Yeah, and some of us want to take the characters that we created on our consoles and we still want to update those ones even though they're new, because that's part of our play style is updating. Once we get a new skin, we're like, well, this hair color is not really working anymore. So super excited for that coming out. The next one that we have is new artifacts. So I gave you a slight break in talking, JR. Very minimal, but it is your turn again.
Yes.
We have quite a few coming out with the Season of the Divide.
Yeah, we have seven new artifacts coming. And I can't list them all off the top of my head, but there was one in particular that seemed pretty cool to me. It's this new blunderbuss called Chaos, and it does these explosive rounds that knock back people. So actually, it would probably be pretty useful in CTF, I imagine. So yeah.
More following.
To be honest, it would have been great if we didn't have the manual jump. Because you can
because then you could knock people into the jump pad and then launch them out of the map. Yeah, that'd be super fun.
We'll do a mode variant someday.
How dare you
with
not
auto
let
jump
me do
pads.
that? Well, that's awesome. And then while we're on that subject of weapons and combat and all that good stuff, we also have combat updates happening. And I think there's some that, Dan, you're also pretty interested in for this season.
Sure. Yeah, there's a few things here. The first one being we're having some changes made to target lock. I'm just going to keep piling on JR because it's kind of funny to me at this point. JR,
Yeah.
we've done a couple things to target lock.
Yeah.
What were they again?
Well, first I want to talk about the reasoning. So, for making target lock adjustments. Okay, so our game is very skill-based, right? Like, combat is kind of the core of the game, and that being heavily skill-based, right? So when we made the move to console, we added target lock primarily as a feature to help controller players compete against mouse and keyboard players, right? To effectively for the aim assistance, right? But we also have an aim assist in addition to that, right? An aim assist is for manual aiming primarily, right? To help guide the missiles, guide your projectiles, help you get hits, to account for the lack of accuracy. So when these two things are combined, it turns out that they're very powerful. And
Turns out.
Yeah, it turns out.
We wanted to err on the side of making sure that controller wouldn't be a barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so what we've done in Season 8 is we've reduced the power of aim assist inside of target lock because you have, target lock's helping you aim, but it's not going to be like 100% you're going to hit everything, right? Especially for moving targets. It's still going to be useful in certain situations when your target's stationary, which is, not often in PvP, but still in PvE it's going to be, pretty much as useful as it was before. But in PvP specifically, you're going to find that when your target's moving, you're not going to lead the target as much if you're using target lock. But we also kind of adjusted aim assist to account for this. So controller players will learn quickly, I think, to stop relying as much on target lock for ranged combat, and they will selectively unlock and then just try to manually aim. And they'll find that they're more successful at that than they were, in previous seasons. We've also made some changes to kind of add some more counterplay to target lock, and this applies to melee and range. Is in the current iteration of target lock, it's very sticky, and there's no real way to break someone's lock. Like you can try to outplay them, but they will just basically keep their lock, even you dodge through them, But so that's something we actually just changed. Is now it will break your lock if basically your target moves too far behind your camera, it will just break the lock. And that also fixes an issue we had with abilities like burnout that have a lot of traversal to them.
Yep.
It no longer tries to
Follows
spin
you,
around
yeah.
and go back to them.
Yeah.
So it'll break the lock. So it's actually beneficial in many ways, and also kind of adds more counterplay. You can actually kind of try to outsmart people that are target locked onto you. And then lastly, we also added, now when you go into aim down sights, it just automatically breaks target lock. That was something that we kept in there initially because we didn't want to disrupt the melee flow, which has some ADS abilities. But it turns out that we could do it with just the ranged weapons, so that's kind of what we did. So now musket and bow, blunderbuss, they'll just immediately break target lock as soon as you go into ADS, which feels good.
And we didn't go too far into just removing it entirely because we want to see incrementally how well this improves combat and how well this balances things as we go, because it is a very delicate balance.
Yeah, for sure. And it is still a useful tool. Having the way I see target lock is it's just another tool in your tool belt. It shouldn't be the only tool though. And I think that's where we kind of went too hard on it. It was too good.
Yeah, our goal was always to make it be primarily a tool for melee, and it should be something like everybody kind of figured out what we wanted to do. If you wanted to lead a target, you should not use target lock. So we're zeroing in on where that needs to be, right?
Right.
Yeah, we could have a whole episode on aim assist and target lock,
Yeah.
but I think we covered it pretty well in this one. We're also going to have more weapon balance updates. That's coming in. I know that you've been listening to some of the players. We've been doing our own testing, and so there's some of those changes going in. And then, are we making any changes to tents?
It's funny you mentioned that. I should talk about tents now, right?
That was a very natural segue.
Yeah.
I just sometimes
So-
like to talk about tents.
Just tents in
you
general.
guys. Can someone talk about that?
Yes. This was something that actually, I guess we had been talking about this for like years, and we finally just went ahead and did it. This is like, it makes a big difference in influence races, but basically, now if you're PvP flagged and you place a tent, it is now destructible. And enemy factions can destroy that tent. Your same faction can bind to that tent as well. So we wanted to make more counterplay to the placement of spawn points in specifically for influence races. That's where it's really going to make a big impact, right? So now, like if you're fighting over a tower and they just like the other team just keeps respawning, you might be they keep coming from that direction. I'm going to go search over there, and there's still some like strategy in like trying to like hide them. You can hide them in like bushes and things, but yeah, like you'll be able to now stop them from respawning there and make them have to go back to the nearest shrine instead. So
That's right.
Tents.
tents.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like it's not a huge difference, but I think that it adds just a slight, like again, incremental like change to the way that players have been playing. That they gotta now create a little side strategy
Yeah.
to address that somebody can take down their tents. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting and pretty cool.
It's foundation for us to be more aggressive on the respawn cooldown for shrines, which will probably be the next big thing that we'll see.
Yeah.
Yes,
And there was another thing on there too, right?
Is it me?
it is you. This is another one that players have been talking about for a little bit, and that is an arena ready up and spectator camp.
Yeah. So for Ready Up, like we know, especially for arenas. So arenas, it's a fast mode. Often you're not changing your loadout. You just want to get in and go. So now there's a Ready Up feature. For arenas, it's everyone that has to opt in. So because it's only 3v3, if one person isn't ready, it makes a big difference. But we also added it to OPR. In OPR, it's like 25 people have to be ready for it to go. And these numbers are tweakable, so we definitely are interested in how that goes and how that feels. But yeah, you'll be able to skip right to skip the whole pre-match phase if enough people opt in.
Yeah, which we had tried in a public test realm a couple years ago. We had tried reducing the ready up time, and the reason why we didn't make this just in code a shorter time and why this change makes way more sense is because players were split. Some people really use that time to, hop into Discord, make plans with people, figure that out. They needed that time, and so they felt pretty strongly that we shouldn't reduce it across the board. So this is a really great compromise for the players that just want to get in and play and go, who already know what their strategy is going to be, or they're going in and there's no strategy involved,
Right.
that they can just hop in and play, compromised with the people that do actually want to take that time.
Yeah, and hopefully they're not in the same match, and because then Ready Up would never happen. But
They will be. It's a good call out though. That there will be times that this happens.
there will be times that Ready Up doesn't happen, and you might be sad if you're on the Ready Up side.
Yeah.
But you can just hit the button over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that works. That always works.
It makes it go faster.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then we have
Spectator Cam is the other one.
Love
so
this.
Arenas,
Yeah.
Arenas definitely another big feature, right? So now instead of being in the bleachers, squinting, trying to make out what's going on down there, you can be right there in the action, and you can be cycling through, spectating. Basically, it just attaches your camera to both your allies and enemies. Because in the case of Arenas, it's not really going to give you much of an advantage. You can see everywhere everyone is anyways. And then, we also added it in Expeditions. Chad, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so when you unfortunately die against a difficult boss, instead of staring at a wall, now you'll be able to go up to the door and be presented with a prompt and enter into a spectator mode and be able to watch your remaining teammates struggle on without you. And hopefully progress to victory.
That's awesome.
It's so great. We're going to be able to, well, hopefully we can put it in more places too, but this is a great starting point.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels good.
Yeah, we thought about adding it to CTF, but actually it's such a short respawn time that you'd almost not even see it. So it's, yeah. So we'll be evaluating like mode by mode, like where it makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's our deep dive into the coming season. And now we're going to be doing just a real quick review of our living roadmap. While I'm talking, there should be a great visual for everybody who's watching this.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, it's right there. You see it?
Floating.
We can't see any of it. So this, you'll notice we had presented this back in December to kick things off. What's coming in the next season, that's there for you. That's everything that you'll be getting that we've just talked through. Some of it we didn't touch on today. There will be more information coming up on the website as well as on social as we get closer to the date that the season goes live. There's also been changes to the in development and in exploration columns. So feel free to compare what's moved. See what you're really excited about, what's missing that you were hoping was going to be on there. For me, and I think there would be a great exercise that we all just talk about the stuff that's really exciting to us. So for me, in development is the new weapon. And while I can't say what that is because we want to keep some things a surprise, I will say that sometimes you have to cheer with both hands.
I was so
Totally
curious
not giving
what you were going to say.
Anyway, I'm very excited about that. I'm super stoked for what the team's been working on. It's very exciting, and we've been playing around with that. Dan,
So the
on to you.
new weapon confirmed, pom-poms.
Yay!
Yay.
Hey.
What am I excited about? I'm excited about a catchy name still in development, Procedural Expeditions with Extraction.
Yeah, really rolls off the tongue really well, you know.
It's a working title.
I think Tracy actually came up with that.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's we actually have been prototyping it. Chad's team is doing a fantastic job. We're prototyping it. It's again, I can't really share too much yet. It's I know the name is a little mysterious as to what it might be, but it plays great. It turns out that our expedition content. I think there's a few interesting things we've learned. For example, like we have a lot of enemy types that we've never really thrown at you in the same place in the same fight, and so like getting to kind of go through a crazy remix of all of the enemy content in the game, doing like exploring a procedural map, like it's a dungeon crawl experience that really fits in the game. I'm excited about it.
Effectively like infinite expeditions, right? That's like the.
Okay, that's enough.
That's the hope.
Is that too much? Okay.
I like that name. Maybe we should change that.
JR, before you get us all into trouble with marketing, what are you excited about?
I'm excited about our next game mode, which I can't talk about yet, but just know that it's coming and it's cool and that you'll love it. That's all.
And you'll be seeking.
What? Can I talk about other
Wait,
stuff?
no, stop.
Okay.
You'll be seeking the crown. Chad?
I'm certainly excited for the new zone in development.
Yes.
So with the Legion Wilds, we were reworking an existing zone. We did a lot to it, but for this one, it is an entirely new part of the map, new zone, new architecture, new theme, new questing, new enemies, lots of new stuff. Tons of passion from the team developing it. Everybody's super excited about it. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I agree.
I saw a screenshot this morning. Somebody's crossing a bridge into the zone and this giant vista in the background, and it's just really cool looking. I think Dan shared that actually this morning.
Yeah, that's a great vista of what you'll see.
Yep. Joel, what are you excited about?
I'm excited for a couple of things on the list. I'm really excited for being able to save my attributes into my gear sets. I'm really excited for gear set bonuses that we're going to have on new pieces of gear. It's going to allow us to really add new chases into different places in the world. Artifacts have been really successful. We think that we can add more of those into different pieces of gear as a whole collection. And that's really what leads into some of the in-game overhaul that we're looking at for progression. We want to make art chases across the board more meaningful and give you more ways to collect things across the board. So I'm excited to see what our team can do with those updates coupled together. I think there'll be some fun stuff there.
Yeah, that overhaul is really going to like kind of expand what we call in-game content, right? Because there's reasons to replay all this stuff, like get more horizontal progression, because that's what artifacts really are, right? It's because they're not. It's not just getting stronger. It's like, oh, this is like a new gameplay feature that I can add to my build. That now I can build something around that, right?
Yep. And with the improvement of gear sets, it's also going to be able to allow us to have more of that customization and on the demand by having our attributes saved across the board, and it gives you more flexibility much faster. And I think that's going to be really fun together.
Absolutely. All right, Tracy, last but not least.
All right.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm going to break the mold here. Everyone's talking about combat, PvP, PvE. I'm going to talk about crafting. I'm excited about global storage. It'll be very nice to not have to jump around everywhere to get all the mats I need. So,
Amen.
That is totally fair.
long overdue.
Absolutely. Well, that does it for us today. Thank you for joining us for the April Dev Update. We really appreciate you being here. And if you liked what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you in Aeternum.